Hi guys, you're welcome to the Chit-Chat show on Elevated TV. My name is Idafe Matthew Esiogene. I love the fact that you guys love to call me the Elevator One of Sports. On the Chit-Chat show today, I have a wonderful personality, a dynamic one, someone that you would love to hear his story over and over and over again. And if you're the lover of the Nigerian Professional Football League or Nigerian League, as it is, because we used to call it the Nigerian Pro League back in the day, and then he went to the Nigerian Professional Football League, the NPL, and then he went to the metamorphosis into the Nigerian Professional Football League, but all is the same. And if you love a team that was owned, that used to look like Celtic, that had green and white jersey from Port Harcourt, plays in the Liberation Stadium, you already know the team that I'm talking about. Before they became Rivers United, before they even morphed into Dolphins, they used to call them Eagle Cement. And they were rivals to my team, Sharks of Port Harcourt, even though I play for the two teams. And this is a player that has played for that team. Now, that team is very traditional because of the kind of work that people like Brent Head and Fagbresima, Fatah Alainka, and the rest of them put into it. They were the team that was winning trophies in Port Harcourt, while Sharks of Port Harcourt, even though acting like they were the landlord, was winning nothing. Now, that's where that song in Port Harcourt that says, landlord, travel and see, comes to bear. Then he also played for one of the most traditional clubs in Nigeria, and also one of the most troubled team in Nigeria, Stationary Stars Football Club of Lagos, or Stars, Adebanjo Babes, as they used to call them. They are still somewhere languishing in the lower leagues anyway. Stars fans will not like me saying this, but they have become a mess to the glory days of what they used to be. And this man played in this Nigerian league and then got injured. But then he went abroad to the UK, and, the love for football, the love for the sports did not leave him at all, as he's also been able to get in on the sports and is playing amputee football. We would get to hear his story from the horse's mouth, as I always say. I let them tell the story, I just observe and be your moderator. Come with me as I welcome the amazing, the ebullient, handsome, looking wonderful Michael Ishiguzo, formerly of Eagle Cement and Stationary Store. Michael, you're welcome to the Chit-Chat show with me.
Thank you very much for having me, brother.
How is the UK weather? Football has returned, but football has returned without the fans. You live in the UK, right?
Yes, I do. And actually, we can't wait. Right now, we want to watch football with or without fans. We just want to watch football. It's got to that point that we don't care how they play it. Let them just play it so we can just watch.
It's exactly what I was telling my friend the other day. I happen to support a club that is also having its own pandemic right now. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm dealing with a whole lot right now. So when you see me, look at me with a lot of pity. I live in Nigeria. We are faced with global pandemic, and I'm an Arsenal fan. Nothing can be worse.
Is double.
I tell my wife that if I die today, I will make heaven. And she was like, why? I said, because God knows that I've suffered enough, more than what you suffer in hell. So I will get the pity vote and make heaven. But having said that, let's say the ground running. Michael, can you introduce yourself to myself and the viewers out
there? Like you rightly said, my name is Michael Ishiguzo. I used to be a professional footballer back in Nigeria. Played for Eagle Cement of Port Harcourt, 1996, and Stationary Stores Football Club of Lagos in 97.
And in those years of playing in the league, would you say you enjoyed playing in the league? You enjoyed your time playing in the league?
I'm a Nigerian. And I am a footballer. In Nigeria, we enjoy football, regardless whether it was in the league or set or jam or you know what I mean, behind the stadium. Football. Football is our lives in Nigeria back then. So to ask me if I enjoyed playing football, and especially playing in the league at that time was a thing of a pride. It was one thing that set you apart from every other player in your street and the street next to yours in your area. You know, in as much as you know that every single one in your area could have swear be playing for clubs, but because they are not and you are playing, that gives you a bit of a pride. It sets you apart. You know, I enjoyed it. Trust me, I did.
Okay, I need to ask one very personal question. Back in the day, they used to say that there are 5 clubs that you must play for. If you don't play for them in Nigeria, you've not played football. And these clubs happen to be Stationery Stores of Lagos, 3SL of Ibadan, Kano Pillars of Kano, Academy Warriors of Medi, and Enugu Rangers of Enugu. They say if you don't play for these clubs, you are just playing, you are the rest. And then they also mentioned Eagle Cement because, you know, back in the day, it's like very, very difficult to have a club that is owned and run by a white man. It used to be a big deal to have a white man around you. And Eagle Cement was run. You guys were wearing foreign jerseys, real quality, like one of the best jerseys in the league. Eagle Cement and Julius Berger.
Mm-hmm.
What was the experience like playing for Stationery Stores, the Adebayo Babes? What was the experience like?
Stationery Stores was a make or break team for me. Unfortunately, it was the latter one for me. It was a break team for me. But playing for Stationery Stores, you know, Stationery Stores is not like any other team in Nigeria. It does not matter what team you played for, but Stationery Stores is not an ordinary team. You see, it's a team that they will love you. When they want to love you, they will overlove you. And when they want to show their displeasure, they will go to any length to show their displeasure. And that means even having to come to your own home to show their displeasure. So Stationery Stores for me was a team that not all footballers can handle. Your skills alone is not enough to play in Stationery Stores. You have to be mentally strong. You have to be mentally tough. You have to be mentally blind, like nothing can get to you. If you're not all that, it's really difficult to wear those jerseys for Stores. But it was an amazing experience for the little time I spent there.
They said the waterfront, as Onikon was called back in the day, was the temple and only the brave survive. What was your first experience with the Stores apostles? That's what they call themselves, the apostles of Stores. What was it like? What was the first experience like? Like your first game, you come in and they're already shouting and shaking the protector, but then you played. What was your first experience like?
My first experience with Stores, someone like me that played from virtually almost all the youth levels in Nigerian football, from the under 8s, under 10, under 13s, 15s, and the rest of them. At some point, I was playing for, while I was in school, I was playing for Stationery Stores, a feeder team, actually. We're being coached by Godwin Obinyo. I was in school, and I went to St. Finbar's as well, so a football playing school. So I was used to Stationery Stores anyways. When I was in class 4, I think the supporters of Stationery Stores they would be running around to get me to sign for Stationery Stores. But I was too scared. I was young. I could not contemplate playing. You should know how the supporters are. So I instead decided to play in the LAFA League then for Nigerian National Shipping Line. So it was after I had a very difficult year in Eagle Cement, I must confess. And I was supposed to sign for Moby Pegasus. I traveled, and you know all the Nigerian football, what's it called again? Craziness. Things didn't work out. So I had to go back to Lagos. And at that time, when I went back to Lagos, the league was going to start I think that year, February. And I didn't have any club to go to. So I decided, you know what, let me go train with stationery stores. And maybe by mid-season of that year, I could try and get speak to my manager so we can get another club for me. But it was crazy. The day I went to train with them, the supporters at Fire 2, they seized my bag, they seized my boots, they took all my jersey. In fact, they kidnapped me. It was like, you're not going anywhere if you don't sign for this team. I was like, no,
Wow.
I did not come to sign for stores. I just came to train. Well, which team are you playing? I said, I don't have a team right now. I want to get a team mid-season. They said, there's no way. They said, there's no way I'm not going to sign for stores. That very day, the supporters took me to Gloria's office. And, you know, basically, I was really forced to sign for them. I love the club to bits. Trust me, I loved it. But, you know, for supporters to like you just because you came to train with the team and insisted that you'll be part of the team, it was one of my biggest moments in football. Trust me.
Okay, so what was the sign-on fees and the salaries like? I mean, you just mentioned Moby Pegasus. At some point, Moby Pegasus was the dream club of everybody. Not like we love the club, but the idea of,
Yeah,
you know,
the
hey,
money.
there was no tradition. Moby Pegasus does not have any tradition. But when you see people like Shidi going
No,
to play for Moby Pegasus and
most,
Shidi transforming from the small boy that he was from Kogi Teachers to Delta United, and then Moby Pegasus becoming like a big boy,
that's a
them Jangas and the rest of them.
big boy.
Yeah, you want to play for them. But stores have tradition. There's a culture. Stores is, it pains me that stores is not what it used to be. So whatever we say now might not make sense. But what was the sign-on fee and the salary? How was the negotiation like?
The negotiation was crazy. It was crazy. They are still owing me money right now. Gloria Debajo is still owing my money.
Forget it.
Yeah. When I went to stores, they agreed to sign to give me 100,000 that year, a sign-on fee, and they were going to pay me. I think it's 4,000 a month. This is in 1997, and 4,000 then was quite big money, you know. So we agreed 100,000, and she insisted that they will pay me part of the 100,000 after I finished signing. So she gave me 30,000 upfront, and that was it. Until I finished with stores, I didn't get the rest of the money. Even my salary, that's a story for another. It's crazy. But the thing about it is, most of us that were good players in stores, we kind of made it up from some of the crazy, staunch supporters that the team had then. That when we play matches and you play very well, you see people coming to the dressing room giving you money, you know. So by the time you leave the changing room, you're almost getting almost half or more than your normal monthly salary.
Yeah.
And that was just the few of for just handful of us that gets such privileges. And but the team paying salary was it wasn't consistent, and at the point I had to stop receiving salary for myself because I found that they were paying me and they were not paying like almost the rest of the team, you know. So when I found that, that was the beginning of my downfall in the team. So I went head to head with the authority, especially with Gloria, and I said, you can't be paying me salary and my teammates are not getting. If there's no money you're paying me, then split my salary and more, even if it's one naira everybody gets, let them get. But there's no way I'm going to receive salary and my teammates are not receiving. and she didn't like that. So, we started having big problems. But it was a great experience playing for them.
So let's move forward. And you left Stars, you went to another team that had good tradition, Eagle Cement. But this time around, it was a team that pays you even before the month end. Your match allowances are complete, your boots, your kits, from a ragtag Stars, but with amazing supporters, to a club that is, I think Julius Berger and Eagle Cement were the first club that has a semblance of a professional structure. How was it like?
No, let's put it the other way around. I think my case was a case of from fry pan to fire. I actually played for Eagle Cement first before
Oh,
stationary stores.
okay.
Yeah. So it was like playing for a club that did everything you said they did, then going to a club that had tradition, but when it comes to agreement,
They don't live
nah, they
it.
didn't have that.
So let's
Nah.
get past that football and the league now. And then what happened to you? You have an accident, injury in football. What led to you getting amputated?
It was a football injury, actually. Uh, the thing was, I was suspended by Gloria. Like I told you, we were having problems because I chose to fight for my teammates. Having the privilege of playing for Eagle Cement, a pro Division One side, to come in to play for stationary stores at the time they were like in League Two.
Yeah.
I had this big player privilege, and I didn't use it against my teammates. I decided to use it for them because I came to a club that were not coming forth with what they promised us. So most times I had to sacrifice to make sure that my teammates are okay. And I got into big problem with Gloria. So what happened is, I think that was my last match for stationary stores against Concord of Abeokuta in Abeokuta. So we would travel for a match. What happened? Because of the things Gloria wanted me to do, I refused to do them because it was against my principle, and I could not do that to my teammates. I don't want to be getting paid behind, and my teammates are not getting nothing. I couldn't live with that. So I came up with the idea that if you don't pay them, then don't pay me. You understand? So she didn't like that. She saw me as a rebel and stuff like that. And this match against Concord, we're traveling. She instructed the coach not to take me with the team. She asked the coach to leave me out of the team. But the coach refused. That there's no way he can leave. At the time, I was one of Stationary Store star players. There's no way he can leave me out of the team. And moreover, if he don't take me, the supporters, Stationary Store supporters will kill him. What reason is he going to give them that Michael is not playing? So anyways, he took me with them to Abeokuta, but he didn't take my license. He left my license. So when
Oh,
we got to Abeokuta, so when we got to Abeokuta, even before we got to Abeokuta, it was hell. I'm saying this so that people can understand what we went through as footballers back then in Nigeria. I don't know if it's changed right now.
it's
They took
worse.
us to a place
It's
where we
worse right now.
normally.
It's worse. It's worse.
I knew it. So instead of taking us to Abeokuta straight, they took us to a church that we're going to pray before the match. Okay, I'm a Christian. I don't have any problem with prayers. And we're supposed to be professionals. Do you know what I'm saying? So we went to this church. We stayed up all night on Friday, and we're supposed to play on Saturday. Mosquito, we could not sleep. We didn't eat. They said we're praying. In the morning, we had to travel from that spot on Saturday that we meant to play in the afternoon. We now traveled to Abeokuta. On getting to Abeokuta, there was not even an accommodation made for us. They took us to get to a hotel. Stop laughing, seriously.
I
They
know.
took us to get to a
I'm laughing
hotel.
because I've experienced it, and many people have told me this story. So,
oh God, they took us to get to a hotel by the swimming pool side. They just asked us to come down from the bus like we're nothing. We came down from the bus by the swimming pool. We didn't even see the receptionist or the reception of Gateway Hotel. We didn't even enter into it. We stayed by the swimming pool. We changed, dressed up in our kits, got back into the bus, straight to the stadium. So when we got to the stadium, you can see how from the beginning how everything was just accumulating. We got to the stadium. My coach now insisted that I will play, and because I played matches before, Concord already knows me. So when Concord found out that I didn't have a license, they had to protest that I'm not going to play. And the rules was that if a player plays without license, after the match, the club had 24 hours to bring the license to the FA, to the NFA then. So my coach decided to play me. But Concord really argued they didn't want the match to go ahead. They don't want me to play. But coach insisted. So the whole thing, somehow the supporters got wind of it. And that was one of the scariest matches I've ever played in my life as a footballer. That was the most violent situation anybody can put any footballer into. Bro, we were playing matches. We were playing this match. If the ball goes to throwing, right? As a player, if you run to go and pick up the ball, you will see someone on the floor, some with their intestine open. Stationary stores and Concord supporters were like killing each other, and they will not stop the match. So we're forced to play in that situation. We're so afraid. Luckily for me, my best friend was playing for Concord. So for some reason, because my case started this whole problem, license, not license, they don't want me to play and all that. So I became like a target. By the time we finished the game, the supporters were out for me. You know, I escaped because my friend who played for Concord had to take off his Concord jersey and give it to me and his shorts. And I wore it and went away from the stadium with Concord players. And you know how it is. Even after the match, the supporters will not let us leave the stadium. We left the stadium about 12 midnight. The police were not coming.
what was the scoreline?
So when we find out, was the scoreline, I think it was 1-0 against us. And Concord had to win that game. They had to win.
Oh, they needed to score a lot of goals.
They had to win the game. But in that game, if Nigerians who don't have all these archives and stuff like in that game, I scored about 2 good goals. In fact, we were supposed to be Concord like 3-1. I had 2 goals which the referee did not give, and my teammate Jide had another one. The referee would not give it, and the match would not end until Concord scored anyways. So they had to win. But with all that, these people were still like. So eventually when we left Abeokuta, some of my teammates were crying because of everything we went through. You can imagine footballers crying on the bus. I could not take it. So I got angry because we had a team manager, we had Gloria's boy and all that in the bus with us. So I was really bitter. I said so many things, which I thought was just going to, which I thought everybody was on board with anyways. It was going to end up just in the bus there. But unfortunately, some of Gloria's, yes, my boys, went and told her, different story, I presume. This match was on Saturday. So on Sunday, we didn't train. On Monday, when I got to training, Gloria has given an order that I should be banned from training, that I've been suspended, you know. And that was the time that I had this opportunity to travel abroad for a trial. So there was no way I could stay back at home, you know, doing nothing. So I had to train on my own. And there's this place they call Eagle Club in Adirungunsoya,
Yeah, I know
where
it.
we have couple of players come and train with our shell team. It was in one of those training that I had this injury. I broke my chin in training, and it was not properly treated. So I contracted gangrene, which meant they had to amputate the part that was infected. Uh, just to save my life, I had to lose a leg, and that that was my story.
So, how did you now move away from Nigeria with all this hell, great talents, great footballer, but fuck, that's sad. So, how did you pick up
And
yourself from that? How did you pick up yourself from that?
well, I'm a very strong believer of the fact that when there's a will, there will always be a way, and not taking anything away from God Almighty, who who knows our end from our beginning. I'm sure God Himself knew my life journey, and in every circumstances, He made a way of escape for me. Having said that, when I lost my leg, I had nothing left. In fact, I everything I had went into my survival in the hospital. I didn't get support from the club. NFA did not say anything. Even when Gloria came out, at the time every time Sessional Stars was going to play, every Lagos State newspaper had my picture on it. Uh, Gloria came out on TV and denied knowing who I was. NFA had a copy of my license. NFA could not do nothing for me. They could not even say anything to Gloria. So I was left by myself. So I fended for myself, thank God. But glory be to God, I joined disabled sports in Nigeria. So I started training for javelin, discus, and shot put. And as God may have it, I got better in javelin and discus. And less than 2 years after I lost my leg, I represented Nigeria in All African Games in South Africa, Joburg 99, where I won a silver medal in javelin. And the next year was Sydney 2000 Paralympic Game. I qualified to represent Nigeria. I went to Sydney, and yeah, I did very well in the finals. And when I came back, I came back to the same empty promises, you know. When I came back from South Africa, Obasanjo thought the best thing that we deserve was a presidential handshake, which was what we got as athletes, presidential handshake. And coming back from Sydney, and if you remember, in Sydney Olympics, Nigeria able-bodied athlete did not win any medal except one from Gloria Alozie. But with the Paralympic athletes, we came back with 13 medals, 7 gold, 5 silver, 1 bronze, with at least 4 world records. But when we came back to Nigeria, not one person from Ministry of Sports came to the airport to at least say, welcome guys. They treated us like we didn't exist. We got to the airport, everyone had to find their way home. And when I came back, I looked at it as I said, there is nothing for me in Nigeria. And luckily for me, before we traveled, we already had visa to go to United Kingdom to train, which they did not take us anyways. And I have families in UK. So I thought, man, if I stayed in Nigeria, my story would be different. So I told my family in UK that, listen, I've got this visa, I just want to come. And that was it. They said, okay, since you're an athlete, come and see what you can do here. That was how I left Nigeria to the UK.
Nah, like I went to the point where it's hard for me to say anything now. But I remember the infamous presidential handshake because I played football and I know the energy. People see the 90 minutes. Everybody. My team now, I have a media team, and we're watching on Amazon Prime,
Mhm.
the All or Nothing series on Manchester City, Borussia Dortmund, and the rest. And I see how they react when they see what players go through behind the scene, what's the medical situation that they go through. And I said to them, this is the thing that I keep telling you guys every day. Football is beyond 90 minutes. Football is beyond 400,000 pounds a week, 500,000 pounds a week. There's a whole lot that goes into it. So I know the labor for able-bodied athletes. I got injured too. That's what stopped me from playing football. For able-bodied athletes, I know what happens. I always say that it is the child that is disadvantaged in the house that the parents are supposed to focus on the most. But unfortunately in Nigeria, it's kind of funny how always the Paralympians always go out there, compete and come back, and they are treated like they don't exist. They don't have proper preparation, no training tour, no practice, but they just out of sheer will achieve all of this. Now you went to UK. Let me tell you something that happened to me when I went to Sweden. You know how I thought Sharks of Port Harcourt or Eagle Cement was paradise. I mean, I didn't have it bad in my playing in the Nigerian league. I didn't have it bad. And then so I felt like that's the ultimate. And I went to Sweden, and the training facility first was another world. And then the way we eat.
Out of this world.
The way we, Jesus.
The way you sleep, everything. It's incredible, man.
For you, when you travel to the UK, well, I mean, there was no language barrier, but what were the culture change that that you saw? What were the cultural differences that affected you, UK, Nigeria way? You know, in Nigeria, for instance, we like shaking, we like hugging, we greet a lot. In the UK, everybody's hand is in their pocket. Nobody's greeting you. How was that? How were you able to adapt?
But no, the thing about it is when I got to the UK, I was not at first playing amputee football. I continued with the sport that I did at the Olympics. I was training as an athlete. But the thing about it is in UK, actually, there is no club for like a disabled clubs for athletes. The system here is different, it's organized. Disabled athletes, they have their coaches, they have their competitions, the tournaments they go to, but they don't have like this club, you have 20 or 50 disabled people in this club. No, it's an individual thing. If you're good enough, you get sponsorship and you keep going. So because there was no team that I could join, I joined an able-bodied team. So I was a disabled person competing for Kent Athletics. I was competing for able-bodied team in javelin. And like you said, I saw a different world. I saw a world that I never knew existed. But for the fact that I'm a disabled person throwing javelin over 40 meters standing, because I didn't have artificial leg to train or whatever then, I was just standing on one leg and chucking javelin in the air. I was like a god. Do you know what I mean? The way people relate to you, the respect that I get for doing what I do, brother, that respect will never be in Nigeria till the Lord comes back. For a disabled person to earn such a respect in Nigeria, I don't see it happening. But I was just coming from Nigeria. I knew how we were being treated. I was lucky enough because my story just kind of overlapped themselves. Because when I lost my leg, it was a big story back then in Nigeria. And shortly after coming out from the hospital, I got into disabled sports. I was already competing. I was breaking Nigeria record. So the story kept going. So a lot of people that already knows me, that already knew me, didn't treat me badly, I will confess, because he was a professional footballer, of course, and he's lost his leg, and look at the amazing thing. So I had a bit of respect. Yeah, but the people around me, I have disabled people around me whom we will train together. We'll finish training at the National Stadium while I'm going home to probably eat, take a shower, or sleep. These guys will have to stay at the gates of stadium to beg for money to eat. And they were Nigerian athletes. They're not just disabled athletes, they are people who actually training to represent Nigeria in a particular tournament. So you see how messed up everything was. So when I got to the UK, I saw the way disabled people are being treated. At some point, I said, you know what? I don't think I want to ever go back to Nigeria for whatever reason. You know, it got to that point, I thought, you know what am I going to do in Nigeria? You go to the store where people are queuing because you're disabled people, everybody will ask you to go first. In Nigeria, the people will tell you, "Now me cut your leg. Why you go come before me?" You see the mentality. It's different. It's very different.
Well, crazy special. Honestly, sometimes when I see things like, okay, I go to the mall and see somebody. There was a time I was at the mall. I won't mention the name now, and the guy who came in wanted to park close to the entrance, and the only parking space was the place that was marked for disabled people, and he parked the car. So I went to the security. I was like, "See, can't you see this guy is parking in the wrong spot?" So I spoke loud so that he would hear. So I was saying to the security guy that, "Can't you see?" Mm-hmm. And the guy said, "You that is talking, are you disabled? Am I blocking your space?" Say what? I was like, "Are you serious? Can't you park somewhere else?" He said, "I just want to buy something here and put it in the car." And then, how many disabled people drive car to this place?
Oh,
I had my hands. I put my head in my hands like, this one is a lost cause. There's no need. There's nothing I'm going to say here. I just let the matter go. And that's, kind of the things I will see here. But then you adapted into the system in the UK. You were doing the disabled sports. How again did the deepness of football call you back again, and then you got into football? Because now you play disabled football. I saw some pictures and I was very impressed.
Well, the thing is that I never stopped playing football anyways from beginning. I never stopped. Even when I lost my leg, all my friends were footballers. They were either going to training or coming back. So what happens is every time they're going to training, I will just go with my crutches. I will go with them. And when I sit outside to watch them play, sometimes it's hard to bear. I cannot bear it, especially when you see someone playing your wing and they're not playing it as well as you. So it was hard to bear. So what happened is I went to train where I lost my leg, actually, where I had my injury. I went with my friends. They went to train. So I got there and they asked me to be the coach. So I was like, okay. So I was doing the coach job and they brought this new guy. He was playing my wing and he was just messing it up. So I got angry and I was like, you know what, you come and sit down, let me show you. Just like that, I got on with my crutches and I started playing. To everybody's amazement, I was maneuvering the crutches like crazy. So after that day, I told them, listen, I don't want to be anybody's coach anymore. If you people want to play, all of us will die here. Me, I'm playing. I'm not I'm not coaching anything.
Who coach help?
So, can you imagine? Who coach? I said, listen, I'm not coaching everybody. Me that I've been thinking how I want to play. So this one I played and I played well. I said, my guy, no, I don't coach again. So every day I go with them and I play. You know, so I will not run as much as they can run, but I know that when they give me the ball, I had my ball control. I can do anything I want with the ball. So I started playing with them. Then I started going to stadium more. After training with the disabled athletes, I would still play with my friends on Saturdays. I'll play sets on the quota. I never stopped playing football until I left for UK. So when I got to UK, I saw a notice where I went to fix my leg, and I saw that they had this amputee football teams around. So I decided to find out how to get in touch with them, which I did, and that was it. So when I got in touch, they invited me. I came, I played with them, and they was like, you know what? No, you're just gonna be here. So I was caught in between athletics and football. So and it happened that most times we had our league in the athletics league is either Saturday or Sunday, and the amputee football is either Saturday or Sunday. So I had to make a decision, and trust me, it was not an easy one. It was not an easy one, but I had to, like, athletics, After all, I know they go Olympic for Nigeria again. You just stay one side. Let me go and have fun. So that's how I got into amputee football.
So let's get out of sports now. Let's talk about life, family. What is family life and everything for you? Marriage, kids. What's up with Michael Ishiguzo?
Well, with family, we're still trying to put that together. The life journey has not been easy and fair when it comes to that part, but hopefully very soon I'll be inviting you.
I'm coming
to my wedding. Of course, you have to. Very soon I'll be inviting you, but from that, it has been God all the way. It has been God all the way.
There's something I always say on my shows. I know you've seen that video where I interviewed I can't remember, the top log guy, and I said that I like the stories that inspire people. I like the stories that motivate people. My friend, my very, very good friend, Timmy Dakolo, told me, he said, look, when you start this thing, go get stories of people who survive against all odds. And I was like, why? And he said, that's who you are. So go and get people like you. I was like, let me look for it. And but sometimes it's hard to get people to tell their stories. For you, it's very easy. But so many people are like, no, I don't want people to come and judge me. I don't want people. I said, but when you tell your story, you actually strengthen people. You actually let people know that I can. See the energy that you exude. There's no regrets. There's no regrets. You are a winner. You understand? And see how far it took you from craziness of stores, all the things that happen. Stores fans, I know they will come after me. They're my friends who are my very good friends. I like all of you guys, but we all know what happened with your club. So representing Nigeria in athletics, going to the Olympics, coming back with medal, going to all African games, it's incredible. But because this is done by a Nigerian, any good thing that a Nigerian does is never important. That's what I've come to notice. Recently, I was checking history. A Nigerian guy is a 419 is big news. A Nigerian guy still is big news. Nigerian guy fights in abroad, big news. But when a Nigerian guy does things like this that are incredible, and I think I'm going to tell Omar Katuba, my very good friend of my brother, is in Germany. I might have to call him to come meet you to do a documentary around you playing and put the story in a short film if possible. I wish I could come to the UK to do that with my team, but that's a long walk. So, but Omar is in Germany, so I think I'll call him to do that. We always don't seem to think that this thing is a big deal. To transition from a sports person who is using his 2 feet, because I got injured in Sweden, and I was in the hospital for 11 months. They were contemplating between should they cut my leg or should they keep it, and then decide. It was the time they started the placenta treatment. experimental. So they use it to fix my cartilage. Now, 11 months in the hospital. By the time I came back, I had to learn how to walk with the leg with 18 screws inside and all that. It took time. It took time for me to get used to the fact that I can't even kick a ball anymore. I can't run. I can't jump, you know, because it's my leg, but it looks like I'm using somebody else's leg. But for you to adapt and get into all of this and come out of it smiling and feeling happy, not depressed, not, you know, suicidal, plenty of respect. Plenty of respect. But before we go, we're still in this whole season of COVID-19 / the Black Lives Matters. They don't come any blacker than you right now. So have you had to deal with racism in the UK? Because I always tell people that all the time I've been abroad, I faced a few insults like that, but the kind of person, because I grew up in Warri, Port Harcourt, and the rest, we grew up with insults, okay? So I always say that on a scale, if I measure the insults I've received in Nigeria, it's still higher and heavier than the insult I take abroad.
Exactly.
So, abroad, what's your own report on racism, your own experience, not the one you read in the news or see other? What's your personal experience?
My personal experience with racism, I'll be honest with you, I've been very, very fortunate not to have faced it directly. I've not been in a position where anyone is racial against me or racist towards me. And I've not, because at the end of the day, I know the people that are being racist towards or against, they really don't deserve it or they didn't call for it. But I've been in an environment, especially in the sports that I do now. It's a sport that is like a family thing. Amputee football here is a big family and one of the most friendly atmosphere one can ask to be in. I've not even on the bus, not even on the train, I've not had anyone being racist to me for any reason, you know, or maybe because most people, when they see me on my crutches or with my artificial leg, maybe they think I was a soldier. I don't know why.
You look like a soldier, actually.
I'm like I was in the military. So maybe that's why nobody's been racist towards me. Maybe that's why I've escaped it. But directly, I've not faced racism since I've been here. But I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It does.
It does.
Directly, I've not faced it.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Maybe one other time again, we'll have this conversation. And for me too, I also like to share this experience, my personal experience. I've not had racism, at least I traveled a bit. But one funny thing that I've experienced that is amazing is the fact that in my line of job, I find it easy to establish contact and relationship with white people than black people. Let me give you this experience, and I always say it. I've written over 100 messages to Anwright, and when I see Anwright coming out to complain that they are racially insulting him, sometimes there is a part of me, and I'm saying this, there's a part of me that say, serves you right, but then racism is not a good thing, so I can't even say it. It doesn't even bother to acknowledge it, and I'm always saying to myself, the one that I sent to you that is positive, you don't see it. But the one that they are insulting you, you are seeing it. It doesn't, don't you have a problem in your head? But when I send a message to Glenn Davis of ESPN, a great World Cup commentator, former footballer for the US men's national team, you know, great guy, it is instant. I send a message to Martin Tyler. The reply is instant. Now, these are great guys who could wave me off, small boy from Africa, who are you? But then you try to reach out to your fellow black Africans in the UK or in the US, and it takes forever. And sometimes I always say to myself, even we black, we are racial against ourselves. We racially discriminate against ourselves. But that's a topic for another day. And I hope that we would correct that with ourselves before we start asking for the other race to treat us right. Because it is the unity amongst us. You say?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Because at the end of the day, I know I'm on your program, and a lot of people will come from my head right now. But I always like to say things the way I say it. In every country, in every part of the world where you go to, the question I ask people is this: why is it that it's only black people that every other race is being racist towards? I've not seen an Englishman being racist to a Chinese, to an Indian, or to a South Korean. I've not seen a South Korean being racist to a white man, but every other people are racist towards black people. What is it with these black people that it seems like people don't like? The truth about it is, if you look at all these people, where they come from, they don't have to be where they are if they don't want to. You can't tell a South Korean, F off to your place. His place might even be prettier, better than where you're asking him to live. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But when you say to a black man, F off to your Africa, then you look at the Africa you're asking him to F off to, there's nothing to write home about. You see where I'm coming from? If we can make where we come from great, if we can develop Africa, if we can make Africa at least a second world continent, trust me, no black man anywhere in the world will get racially abused ever. Because people treat us the way they look at Africa, then when they see us here, they think, yeah, we should be treated like that. But if Africa was competing with America, Canada, and the rest of them, you think a white man would tell you to go back to your place? No. When he knows that your place might even be better than where he is? It's just about where we come from.
You're so right.
We'll fix racism.
Yeah, you're so right. And in that line, this is where I draw the curtain and I say that we can take a knee, we can wear shirts, we can use all the hashtags in this world. The greatest way to defeat, I've never seen anybody racially insult or abuse anyone from Dubai. A Dubai citizen, never.
No way.
Because you cannot racially abuse somebody whose denominator is higher than your own on every sphere of the conversation. It's from a country that have the only 7-star hotel in the world. It's from a country that have defeated every barrier of problem. Yeah. They are the solution and the example of the world. If African leaders and African people can just try raise the bar, like you said, second world country, let's even be like Brazil. Let's even compete with Brazil. You understand? Nobody will racially abuse us. Even African American in America would say, you know what, if you insult me, I'm taking my money, I'm going to Africa, I'm going to stay there. But then,
exactly.
Look at us. Who wants to come here? Look at what you said. You went to All African Games. You won us medal. You came back, they say it's presidential handshake. You go and laminate the handshake and put it in the wall. Anytime you have problem, you say, I have presidential handshake. It's my collateral. You went to Olympics and came back with 13 medals. There was nobody to welcome you. And then you tell me somebody will not racially abuse you. In the words of my mom will say, what you call your dog is what other people will call it. So if one person calls his dog Jack and you go and call your own Bingo, that's exactly what everybody will call your dog. I just hope that we will learn and we will change and we will get better. Michael, once again, thank you very much for your time and sharing your story on the Chit-Chat show with me. It's a pleasure that you agree to share your story with me, and it's a pleasure that you agree to be on my show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you soon. Bye. Thank you, guys. Stay safe and be happy.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye.